Yoda. You seek Yoda. You know him? Take him to him, I will. But first, we must eat. Yes, yes. Come, come. And welcome back to the Comconocave. I'm your host, the Comconocalst, and today we're going to be talking Star Wars. Now, as you know, Disney owns both Marvel and Star Wars now. Now, what they're trying to do is combine the two into one property that will be able to combine both the on-screen films as well as the drawn comic books. Now, Disney Marvel recently reacquired the licensing rights to Star Wars from Dark Horse Comics, and what they're going to be doing is creating stories that fill in the gaps between movies like A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and let us know, what took place. I know there have been a lot of comic books and there have been a lot of novels that have, talked about what took place in the Star Wars universe after Return of the Jedi, and even in between the other movies. But these are all considered legend. They're not part of Star Wars canon, and Disney is now in the process of recreating the history of Star Wars, and it's pretty exciting. And we're going to cover every single one of the main characters, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with So, how was it that Han Solo stuck around with the rebels after the destruction of the Death Star? I mean, it was pretty obvious that he had no interest in joining the fight, yet there he was on Hoth, running a scouting mission opposite Luke at the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. So, what changed? Well, we've seen in the comics that Han was recruited to help with the strike team to attack and destroy an Imperial base that was called Weapons Factory Alpha on Kai-Moon 1. Now, the attack was a success, but it also put Han on the Empire's radar and landed him on their most wanted list. Now, with both the Empire and Jabba the Hutt gunning for him, his smuggling days were pretty much over. So in order to stay alive, he continued to stay with the rebels. Now, it didn't come without a price. During his stay with the rebels, his ship, the Millennium Falcon, was tore apart by scavengers. This is one of the reasons why he and Chewie were working on the Falcon while at the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. But, this also allowed him to spend a little bit more time with. So, Marvel decided to give Leia her own comic book title, and it's more of an offshoot as opposed to a fill-in-the-blanks type story as far as in between the movies go. Now, there's always been, the assumption that she was one of the higher-ups as far as the Rebel Alliance goes. Well, this actually lets her be one of those commanders, and it shows her delegating her power and authority and sending people out on missions. Now, before I get into that, just so you know, Alderaan was considered the birthplace of the Rebel Alliance, and with its destruction, there's been a lot of, obvious sadness. I mean, millions of people died. The planet was destroyed. Yet, right after the destruction of the Death Star, they hold a celebration. Wow, we blew up the Death Star, but at the same time, we lost millions of people. So, a lot of people were a little bit dismayed with that, and one of them actually was an Alderaan-born soldier, and he brought his concerns up with Princess Leia, and during their conversation, she ends up tasking him with the quest to find other Alderaanians, and he is going to try to preserve their history and their people. So that seems to be the side story that they're going to be going with Leia. Now, with this title, it's also going to, explore Leia and Han's relationship as it grows and, butts heads. They're being tasked to find a new planet for where they're going to be holding up their base, and that leads us to Hoth. Now, with Hoth, it also leads us to Now, this is what has bothered a few Star Wars fans. At the end of A New Hope, Luke, he could barely use the Force. And with Obi-Wan gone, how is it that he was able to get to the point where he is able to summon his lightsaber while he was trapped in the Wampa's lair? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Well, Marvel is going to try to fill in the gaps here. Now, Luke is going to be getting his own series later this year. It's going to be called Heir to the Jedi. And in it, Luke realizes early on that his anger and his frustration is leading him away from the Force and closer to the dark side. Now, he starts to trust his own instincts more, and he learns to rely less on other people. He's going to be meeting Darth Vader face-to-face for the first time. He's also going to have a fight with Boba Fett, which is going to be really cool. So keep a close lookout for this series. Now, since I brought him up, let's talk about... So, not only did Darth Vader let the destruction of the Death Star take place, but he was also placed in charge of Weapons Factory Alpha. Now, that was the munitions factory that Han led the rebel attack on that he was able to destroy. Now, during this battle, Vader comes into contact with the X-Wing pilot that destroyed the Death Star. This is their first encounter, and he starts to realize that there's some sort of connection. He notices this first because Luke is wielding his old lightsaber from when he was Anakin, and that's what starts making him feel, the father-son connection. Now, he also notices that Obi-Wan has kind of disappeared into the Force, and while he's meditating, he's able to confront Obi-Wan, and this enables Vader to become a little bit more powerful with the dark side of the Force. Now, he doesn't come out of the two defeats completely unscathed, all right? After the destruction of the weapons factory, the Emperor demotes Vader and places him under the command of Grand General Taggi. Now, this causes Vader to weigh his options, and he decides to find young Skywalker on his own and train him in the ways of the dark side of the Force and overthrow the Empire that way that him and Luke can, rule the galaxy together. Now, in the comics, Vader also makes a visit to Tatooine where he has a meeting with Jabba the Hutt. This meeting allows Vader to access Jabba's bounty hunters, which he plans to use as his own separate, resource away from the Empire if the need ever arises. And he's going to be doing this in order for them to be able to hunt down Skywalker. Now, one of the main bounty hunters that Jabba relinquishes control to Vader with is none other than... Now, Boba Fett has got to be the biggest badass to ever grace the silver screen when it comes to bounty hunters. Now, Jabba the Hutt loans Darth Vader Boba Fett as well as a bounty hunter. He's a Wookiee. His name is Black Krrsantan. It's Krrsantan. And don't ask me to try to pronounce it again. Now, their single task is to find Luke Skywalker. Now, during this, they come up with a plan to capture Han Solo and lure Luke to Bespin, Cloud City. And while this is all taking place, Luke and Boba Fett actually do encounter each other and do have a battle. And this is their first encounter, and it is epic. So keep an eye out for this particular series, and this is definitely a storyline that you're going to want to pay attention to because it clears up a lot of questions. It also ties a lot of loose ends together as far as New Hope and Empire Strikes Back goes. So that's it for this week. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope it wasn't too tedious for you to listen to, and I hope I was able to inform you on a lot of different things that are going to be taking place. If you have any questions, you can reach me at the Comconocave at gmail.com. You can reach me on Twitter at Comconocalst. You can leave them in the comment section down below. If you haven't checked out my blog, it's www.thecomconocave.blogspot.com. It's Monday through Friday. Every once in a while, I'll do a Saturday or a Sunday or both, and I try to keep you updated on what's current and what's trending as far as fanboy and geek news goes. Most of the time on the weekend, though, it has to deal with science, so just be aware. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. And until next time, take it easy.